Very often we think about moving abroad and we think about it as something exciting, right? And it is. But what we often forget and maybe dismiss is the emotional toll that it takes on you as you make the decision and then go through the process. So today we want to address this phenomenon so that if you are thinking of moving abroad or you're in the process of moving abroad, that you go in it with your eyes open and expecting those emotions. I call it the roller coaster of emotions. And we want you to know it is quite normal. So, what you need to do, and as we start talking about it, is just to be prepared and understand that going through those emotions is quite normal. And you can take also some steps to counteract that and not let it overwhelm you. And listen, sis, you can do it because all of us who are on the other side have gone through those emotions and we have gone through it and we're still here. So it's not impossible, but it is important for you to understand what you are getting yourself in so that it doesn't hit you upside the head, like it's like, oh my God, I never saw that coming. All right. So I decided to do this. Hola, Denise. I decided to do this because a sister was talking to me on a consultation call, and then she was saying, nobody talks about the toll it takes on us emotionally. So I'm like, okay, let's talk about it then. All right. So Marie and Emily, you can come back on. What I want to talk about to start the conversation is that relocation is a global phenomenon, right? Because in the last few decades, I don't know, two or three, globalization has become something normal. People kind of move all over the place, cross, boundaries, and we go from one country to another, one continent to another, right? And of course, right now, lately, there are efforts to kind of counteract and kind of rein in all that globalization. Some countries feel that it's gone way out of hand. And that's when you get immigration and all the stuff that we're hearing in the news that are happening right now. All right. So when you think of relocation, is that moving from one place to another, usually across city line, state line, country line, right? Because if you have a company, for example, not a dealership, but um, an auto part, for example, company that go ahead and mute yourself and you can show your face on camera. It's okay. That, moves one plant to another area, that's relocation. You also have companies that would move their whole operation, abroad or to another country. So that's also relocation. So when we talk about the emotional toll, it doesn't just affect retirees. When you have families, for example, if you're a missionary kid, PK, or you are an army brat, you're moving the family, the whole family is moving from one country to another, it takes a toll. And what you need to do is ask those children. I don't think anybody, I've never talked to a mom or a dad, an adult, and ask them, how has that affected you as an army person who had to be reassigned over and over? People have lived all these places. But when you talk to kids, they will tell you how hard it was for them to leave their school, leave their friends, and have to constantly be, taking time, making new acquaintances. It takes a toll. But as an adult, when I see here in this area where I am, there are some companies that are multinational companies, and they have families who come here for like a certain period of time. People who work with the UN, for embassies, and they work for NGOs. and they're having to be relocated to different places, every 2 to 3 years. Well, that takes a toll too, because these people are constantly having to pack and unpack and pack and unpack and creating communities. Now, I know I haven't spoken to men about that, but I know all that moving around takes a toll on women. And you know why? Because I have moved across state line with my family from New York to Florida. And I remember the emotional things I went through as somebody who just moved across several states. And you would think moving within the same country, you wouldn't have issues. Yes, you do, because there are many multiple cultural differences between the north of the country and the south and the west. And people don't talk about that. And we used to sit there, those of us, a group of women who had come from different other states, and talking about how lonesome it was, how the culture shock was, really significant. And we were having kumbaya, yes, just like we're having today, to say, yes, it's okay, sis. You're gonna go through these things. And the guys were fine. Men do not react to changes like we women do, because we like to cocoon, we like to have deeper relationship, we like to hang out, with our girls and do girly things and stuff. The guys, they go and they go golfing, and they're good. We struggle, I found in my experience. Okay, so when you move a whole family from, let's say, South Africa, and you bring them to Panama, do you think they're going to have a little trouble adjusting? Of course, they're going to have problem adjusting, but they need to understand that this is a reality of that relocation. So some causes of global relocation, I wrote down economics, right? People move from one place to another because they're looking for a better life. They're looking for their money to stretch more. And a lot of retirees, that's a number one reason why they relocate to places like Vietnam, the Philippines, or Thailand, where they can have rent that is much cheaper, food that is fresh, and a sense of safety, and a lot of other reasons, right? We talked about climate change. Well, climate change, changes in climate, I would say, let me rephrase that. Because if you say, I'm older, like I say a lot, I say that a lot. I say, these old bones, I don't want to be cold. I want to be able to wear this if I want to. I don't want to wear boots. I don't want to wear coats. So that's the reason, one of the reasons for me for relocating, right? But climate change, I know here in Panama, there are some communities that have been moved from an area. Can you mute yourself, Marie, por favor? Thank you. To an area where the water level was going up. So they had to relocate those people for safety, and that is a direct, you know, cause of climate change. I'm looking at I thought there was okay. Um, so that's one reason. Another reason is corporate and labor. Like I said, you have companies that would move their whole operation, or just some people from one area to another. That's corporate, or your job relocation, okay? Another reason might be curiosity and a sense of adventure. Some people just like to move around just for fun, right? I was watching a couple earlier. They moved, I'm not sure where from, but they ended up in France, and they were talking about their whole saga with the visa and all that. So they went through the same thing, but their reason was more adventure and a lower cost of living. All right. Another reason for relocating could be political changes. As we know, some of us are moving because we feel a lot of uncertainty and heat wherever we at, persecution. People move and become, they ask for asylum in different countries because they're afraid to stay where they're at. So political changes definitely is a big reason some people move abroad. All right, a sense of insecurity. Maslow's hierarchy of needs says your basic sense for food, water, security, that's basic for all human beings. So it's nothing unusual for someone to say, I don't feel safe here. I'm going to go somewhere where I feel safer. All right. And then the last one I have on here is retirement, which is where I fall in. My reason for moving abroad is that I want to retire somewhere where I can stretch my dollars as we live longer, that we can stay in a place where we can afford rent, food, healthcare, someone to take care of us when we get to the point where we can take care of ourselves. All right? So now, whatever your reason is for moving abroad, of course, you have to understand the magnitude of the decision. And in your mind, when you say, oh yeah, I want to move to Panama, but are you really prepared for all the logistics that that decision entails? And people who want to go to Thailand, I'm thinking of the time zone and how many hours they're going to be on a plane. And I'm like, that is way too far for me, right? But once you make that decision, I think that for retirement, let's talk about retirement for now. Making a decision to retire abroad is huge. Because think about it, you're leaving everything that you've known for decades, locations, your favorite providers, your hairdresser, where you shop, where you go for entertainment, your favorite bar, movie theater. You know, you can go on speed, you know, with your eyes closed. You can go to the on the highway and go where you need to go because everything is familiar. The food, the music. They asked this guy the other day, is there anything you miss about the US? And he said, not really, but I do miss the jazz club. He said, right? So he's got his priority. That is something you're going to miss. And understand that, yes, you're going to miss it. I was just watching another lady earlier. She was talking about how people romanticize moving abroad. And you see these people on their channel telling you everything is perfect. There was a sister, I was talking about something about, you know, you always a foreigner or whatever, and she wasn't having it. She's like, no, I feel great. Everybody's so nice to me. And I'm like, yes, they are nice, but you are still a stranger in a land. This is not your country. As much as you can love the place where you're at, you are never going to be a local. You have to understand that. And you have to be able to live with that sense that I'm always going to be a stranger in that land. When I moved from New York to Florida, and again, we were having the kumbaya moment. There was a girl who had moved her family from Chicago, from Illinois, somewhere there. And there was another one from New Jersey, right? And they were just doing the compare and contrast and the lack of familiarity and friends and things. And we were all kind of commiserating, you know, about that. And that is a reality that I think in one of our meeting gathering, one sister who had been there 30 years, she said, I have been here 30 years and I'm still a stranger. You have to be okay with that. You have to wrap your mind around that because you're going to, if not, when we get to the emotions, you're going to feel isolated. And if you're not okay understanding that, yes, you are welcome, you are a foreigner, they're very kind to you, but you are not a local. You got to get it straight and be okay with that. All right? So retirement, so you're leaving everything. The other thing about retirement moving abroad is your age. And it doesn't matter how good you look, you are an older person moving to a strange land. So it might take you a little bit longer to adjust. If you don't speak the language, that's going to be a big, I don't want to say dissatisfier, but it's going to be a big challenge. Because let me tell you, sisters, Google Translate can only take you so far. And what people are finding is that a lot of the locals get a bit irritated when everywhere you go, you're asking them to speak into your phone so the app can translate for you. It gets old. And some people resent that. And you can't blame them. You in their country, you need to speak the language. People come here and they listen wherever you go, and they listen to the people on their social media saying, oh, you don't need to speak Spanish. You don't need to speak Portuguese. There's so many people who speak English there. And you go to France, they may know some English words, but they will not speak them to you. They expect you to speak some French. And that's why they're always a bit standoffish, and it's like, you in Paris, so that you need to speak French. You got to be ready for that, okay? And the financial part of it also is, how far can your money go and for how long? Do you know how to manage your money? Hola, Zahara, Raza. Oh, okay. I've seen that name a lot. I've never tried to say it. ¿Cómo estás? And you got to understand that the money management is important. Some people come to a new country and they think they're on vacation. Well, you are not on vacation, sis. You got to learn to budget and live within your means and have a little bit left over. Again, we watch each other's videos. This young girl just did a video on Thailand. She's talking about some of the things that people are doing. No, Vietnam, I think she said, people not paying their bills. I don't even know how that works. So that means you go rent and then you don't pay? Or you go to a restaurant and you don't pay? There are a lot of those behaviors in expat circles that are making it difficult for the whole, because you get some bad apples. And when you have global relocation, like we are having influx in a lot of countries. This morning, one sister said she is somewhere in Mexico, and she's like, I'm amazed at how many Americans I see around. We see the same thing here in Panama, lots and lots, and families. And with the influx, you're going to get all kinds coming in, good and bad. And people will tell you, I see how some expats behave and I'm embarrassed. But when the locals see that, how do you think they feel about the whole? No bueno, no bueno. But that is happening, okay? So and in relations, family, you're leaving people behind. So think about it. For relocation, you are going to a place that is new. And I don't care how many times you visited, you were a visitor. Life on the ground is going to be different, okay? You're leaving everything that you've known, your whole life that you've built for decades. Think about when you were trying to downsize, how many things you had to give away, throw away, things you've accumulated for 40, 50 years. That's a lot. Hola, Vivian. So this is something that takes a toll. I mean, I tell you, I felt some kind of way when things that I had spent time, I had searched and looked for to make it look, place it in this strategic place in my house. And somebody comes with a little truck and just takes it out. It's like part of my heart was going with it. Yes, that's also part of the emotion that you're going to go through. Okay? So you downsizing, it's like you're getting rid of your life. And we're going to talk about grief in a moment. You're going to grieve that loss. You don't grieve only when you lose, who say, ser querido, a loved one. You grieve anything that you lose, whether it's voluntary or involuntary or self-imposed. And relocation is self-imposed. No one's making you move. You've decided. So you also feel at some point that I can't even complain, because they're like, well, no one made you do it. Don't come complain to me. And don't come back with your tail between your legs if it doesn't work out. Don't they tell you that? Mm-hmm. Pressure. All right. All right. So let's talk about the emotional toll. This is what we are here to talk about. Some of us are better at making decisions than others. I am pragmatic. I am very logical. I'm a kind of a type, not a type A, but I'm a left brain. Left brain are people who are rational, can say, okay, A plus B plus C, very tactical. I'm like that. I like to write things down and then I go, Sometimes I struggle with the decision. I always think through things, but I don't get caught in analysis paralysis, we call it. That means it's like you have to have every little detail taken care of. Otherwise, you're going to be here forever. I'm not like that. I'm a very impatient person. I can be patient with some things. The other day I did a video and I said, I'm very patient. And I said, no, you're not. I'm not very patient. But I do the work. I do the due diligence. I am not, it's not spontaneous, but I don't make decisions just rashly, right? But once you make the decision, you own it. That's what being rational means. This is the decision I made rationally with the information that I had. So for any adult to decide to spend the rest of their life somewhere else, it's huge. It tells me that you did some research. Some people come here sight unseen. I don't know how that works, but some people have done it and it has worked for them. I don't know how long term, because the average time that people tell you when you move abroad, you're gonna stay, I think it's 2 years. Is it 2 years or is it 5 years? And most people would say, oh, go ahead. You're going to come back anyway. Yes, I've been told that to my face several times. And especially here in Panama, which is where I am, there was a local person who said, it's beautiful that you guys like my country. She is outside of the country. But she said, especially for the old people like us, she said, well, when you get sick, she said, we, the locals, local Panamanians, we have family back home who we can trust to take care of our loved ones. You guys don't. So when you get sick, something significant, you're going to go back. And that's one of the reasons people go back. Health, family, some people run out of money. Some people never quite adjusted. I don't know if I'm missing one. Loneliness. You could be in a country, you're in a crowd, and you go to all those events, but you still feel alone in here. Okay? And there are things you can do to kind of counteract that. But understand that moving abroad comes with those risks attached. The risk that you might run out of money if you don't manage your money. The risk that something could happen to you that you can't take care of here, especially in Panama, we pay for a lot of our care. And how is that going to affect your budget if something major happens? Yeah, going to see the doctor for $45, having your blood drawn for $200, that's okay for most of us. But let's say you have a stroke and you have to be admitted to the ICU and you don't have insurance. And I watched another couple interview somebody who was high up in some kind of hospital here. And they're like, if you get to our emergency room, we're not going to throw you. We're going to stabilize you. But if you don't have a credit card that we can swipe to pay for your care, we're going to make arrangements for you to be taken to a public hospital. That's the way it works here. So that's why we tell people before you come, make sure you have 1 or 2 credit cards. If you don't have health insurance, which is very hard to get as an older person here. If you're younger, yes, you have to have that credit card, la tarjeta. They're going to want that tarjeta to swipe for every little thing that they do for you. It's a business. They're not mandated, or do they want to provide free care? It doesn't happen. You go to a public hospital, it's going to be very affordable, but you still have to pay. All right? So that could be a reason something major happened. You had a stroke, you're in the ICU, you can't talk, you can't swallow, you're totally dependent on people to take care of you. You don't think that crosses my mind every so often? Of course. Because strokes have happened to people who are as healthy as I am or unhealthy. It doesn't matter. It happens to the best of us. So you have got to think about that. And that causes anxiety. Another emotion that you deal with before you get here and certainly after you get here. People say, oh, you come to Panama, you won't need to take your blood pressure medication anymore. Who told you that? Take your medicine. You can live healthier, but don't take it upon yourself to stop your medication because you move abroad. Don't do that. You got to be ready for the loneliness that could happen when everything around you is unfamiliar. I mean, I go to Africa, I've traveled, and you get yourself in a situation, but you're thinking, oh, but I'm going to go home next week. That's different. Then this is my life now. This is my reality. And that doesn't hit you until you get here. But I'm telling you, be prepared for it. Okay? Another thing that causes people who retire abroad to go back after the 2 or 5 years is they miss family. And when I counsel people, I say you need to budget for regular trips back. So you kind of address the loneliness head on. So you can go see the grandkids. Some people get tired of missing out. They want to love on their babies, grandbabies. I mean, you can talk to them. You can do a FaceTime. It's not the same. And when the first grandchild come, they're like, okay, I'll come and stay for a couple of weeks, and then they come back and you miss them. And then the second grandchild, and you're like, oh, okay. After the third or fourth, some of them say, can do it, I'm going back. We have people who come here and build beautiful 2-story homes, oceanfront. That's going to be the retirement dream. And then they started having grandkids that they can't see. And this lady said, I don't know what you're going to, she looked at her husband. She's like, I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm out of here. I want to be close to my grandbabies. Realities of life. Got to understand that. There's a sister who, she was 70. Oh, she's going to France and she made videos about France. Oh my God. I mean, the video just went viral because I moved to France at 70. And who does that? Everybody's curious. Because, you know, in these social medias, if you have a title that says something about a scandal or something unusual, oh, you're gonna get views. But when you talk about things like now, no, those don't get a lot of views because it only interests a few people. And that's okay. I don't do videos for views. I say something when I have to say it. Otherwise, I don't be chasing likes and I decided in my head I'm not doing that. So you miss your babies. You can't adjust. One person said, I went back because I got tired of not understanding what is being said around me. Would you have thought that this could be a reason someone packs up again and goes back? Not just a lack of money, not because, you know, something catastrophic happened to their health, not because of the grandkids, the language and the culture, they have not adjusted. So it's something we call maladjustment. If you do not adjust, you're going to become a victim. This moving abroad stuff is not easy. Do not go anywhere with stars in your eyes. The reality will hit you. And there is something else we call the honeymoon phase of everything. Oh my God. You know, like I say, look at the pineapples. Oh, the papayas. Oh, the beach, the water. Yes. That becomes normal and casual, and the novelty is going to wear off. And what do you do after that? Okay? All right. So we talked about the decision, first of all. And this is where I talk about what is your why. You have to write that down. Why am I moving abroad? Why am I deciding to leave my family? You have to have a strong why. Okay? So every time something happens and it hits you upside the head and you feel sad or overwhelmed, go back to that why. Why am I here? And if your why is strong enough, it's going to hold you. It's going to hold you tight. And you're going to stand there and not pack up and go. All right? Understanding also the magnitude of the decision, all that entails, family, friends, your house, what you do with it, your car, all your beautiful clothes, you know, my suits and high heel shoes and all that, what are you going to do with that? Okay? The financial part of it, are you prepared to pay for your visa, for your scouting trips, for your Airbnbs? It adds up. That's why I guess some people do not even, you say, I don't have the money to, I'm just going to go. Do you think that's risky? Yeah, I've traveled. I can maneuver, but I don't think I would ever decide to move permanently to a place that I've never been to, except from what I read or what I watch on TV, on the computer. I don't think I'm cut out for that. But again, we've met some sisters. Not all of them have been successful. Some have had to return. Whether they have more visa situation or the money situation, I don't know. But it takes a lot more planning, careful planning, for you to look at your money, look at what's coming in, and get a realistic view of what your budget is going to be in the area that you want to move to. And please, please, please remove the stars from your eyes and talk to people who are on the ground about what their costs are, real. And the costs kind of adjust themselves. They change. People will tell you things are more expensive here in Panama, especially Panama City. And then this lady will say, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I live on much less than that. Well, yes, some people do. But what does living mean to you? What is your level of comfort? Can you live on a $500 a month, little house, local style, not to what you're used to? Some people can. Is it in the woods back there? Maybe that's what you want. Do you have, electric interruptions, water and stuff in the interior? Quite possible. So you have to go in there with your eyes open. Are you willing to be uncomfortable sometime? We have had such a heavy, intense humidity and heat here. So what if the power went out? Are you going to be okay in that little house? Maybe for a day or two without water, without electric. Some of us don't want to chance it. We say we're going to stay in the city when we have a backup generator and a backup water tank. You have to decide what you can accept comfortably. If comfort is not an issue for you, you're like one of those backpack people, you could, yes. I was with a couple of those people when I was in South Africa. While I was stressing over having to use the house over there and I couldn't do it, my heart was palpitating. They're like, oh yeah, we're used to camping in the woods, and they used to go and do their business in the woods. I'm like, oh, sister couldn't do it. So I made a decision. I left because that was another reason. I'm like, I can't do it. So know thyself. Don't just keep saying things to yourself, like, oh, I can do it. I can do it. Can you really? Can you really? Can you come down from your 4,000 square foot home and move into a small apartment with 1,000 feet? Can you do it? 1,000 square feet, I should say. It's a huge change. You give up your car, your Mercedes that you had over there, and now you're going to take the metro. Are you okay with that? Or are you so concerned with the accoutrement, I call that, what you wear, where you live, and what you drive? Your whole persona is wrapped into it. Be careful. Nobody's judging you. You just need to know, can I live with that or without that? Okay? Oh, Greta just got here. All right. So the decision is vital. And then you might think about also, what are the factors that are making you make that decision? Be very open with yourself. Write it down. I am a big proponent of, when I look at the written word, it kind of comes alive to me. It's like, this is real. What is your why? Why are you wanting to move abroad? If that reason is strong enough, if your job moves you and you need your paycheck, that's a strong motivator, right? The decision sometimes is out of your hand, but the decision sometimes is like, oh, it's a promotion. Yeah, that's a decision you make. Are you moving because of political instability, real or perceived? Do you feel unsafe where you are? That's a strong motivator. Do you want to live abroad somewhere where you don't end up in a nursing home? That's my number one why. As a healthcare person. So every time I look at things happening around me, what people are saying, I stay in touch with the news. I keep my pulse on what's happening. And everything that might cause me some discomfort, I go and put it against my why. And if my why is still stronger than what I'm experiencing right now, then I'm good. I'm good. So make sure, hola Greta, make sure you are wide open with your why. Write it down. Are you wanting to move because, oh, it seems like all my friends are leaving? Yeah, everybody I know so have moved. Oh, I got to do it too. I want to jump on the bandwagon. Is that your reason for moving? Everybody's story, situation is different. And in your old age, you shouldn't be copying other people. You got to think of you, moi, your comfort, your desires, your why. Because as an older person, moving abroad carries a higher risk. If your job moves you, they usually pay for a lot of things, right? And if something were to happen, they would fly you back wherever. But when you're retired, you're on your own, you're on Social Security, there is not a lot of room to maneuver. So be open and truthful with yourself about the decision. All right. The other thing also is the logistics. The logistics of moving can be overwhelming. Again, if you're moving because your job is moving you, they're paying for movers to come. Hola, Tiffany. Oh, how are you, sis? They're paying for your logistical move. They come. Don't you love that? And one time that's happened to me, that I had a moving company come and they packed everything and I just stood there. I'm like, oh, this is nice. I like it. That wasn't the case this move. I had to do all the heavy lifting. The whole idea of downsizing was downright emotional for me. My suits, my shoes, my bags. Oh. My furniture. My friend Greta said, she said she invited people to come and have a meal. And then she said, that was the funniest thing. She said, when they were leaving, I said, take everything with you that you just used, the plate, your cup. I had some friend come, I'm like, bring your van and take anything you want. I mean, I had something that I was just mine, but I'm like, all your china and stuff, plates and stuff. I'm a cook. So, I mean, I took pride in coordinating my dishes for whatever holiday. And even the one came, she had a van and we kind of pushed I had a treadmill. I figured out how to fold it and put it in there. The treadmill went. My piano. I've always had this thing about learning to play the piano. I said, before I turn 85, I'm going to be able to play something. And my sister, every year, every holiday, she's like, sis, are you going to play a piece for us yet? Because I was terrible at it. But just like cooking, that was a place for me to just release stress, and it fed my soul, and all the good hormones started flowing. So when this guy came and I had to help him get that piano onto that truck, and that was a work to lift it and put it over there. And then you feel like a part of you was going with it. So you're going through this every single day because you have your list of things you need. Hopefully you have a list of things that you needed to take care of. The logistics, when you have to do it, can be overwhelming, it's tedious, it's long-winded. And this sister said, I was emptying out everything. And then when I thought I was done, she said, I found some cabinets, I opened them, and there was a whole slew of more stuff she had to take care of. I was in Goodwill, I swear, 3 to 4 times a week. And every time I pulled up, the guy said, you again? I'm like, yep, got more stuff. And towards the end, I found an organization that was working with women who were released from prison and they were needed clothes. And I'm like, oh, yes, can you come get it? And I had bags and bags. He said, oh, all you have to do is leave it in the front of the house. Just tell the gate we're coming. And I was like, it is stressful. You got to understand that. And before I forget what I tell ladies, and I'm like, you cannot be so concerned with the list. When you feel overwhelmed, take a day off, leave it. Go to the beach, sit down and look at the water. Take a spa day, go get a massage, get your nails done. And you're not, no, but that is self-care. Break it up. You don't have to do everything every single day. It will wear you out. And then you wonder why you have heartburns, you got palpitation, you're not sleeping, cortisol, epinephrine, everything is just crazy in your body. You're already stressed out anyway. Now this is self-induced. Come on, sis. The weight of the decision. I already talked about decision, but do you really understand what you're doing? And I know a lot of us come because, especially the younger ladies, I'm 67, going to be 68, but I see sisters come in their 50s, and they're like, they come for a sense of renewal, a sense of peace, because again, we talk about that, being on that treadmill, the rat race, the stuff you deal with at work, the people say microaggression. I'm like, there's nothing micro about it. These people are in your face trying to kill you. So there's nothing macro about what's happening in the workforce. They're trying to drive you out. And if you croak while you're going out, better for them. Oh, one less. They don't care. They don't give a flip about you as a human. They don't see you as a human being anyway. Don't forget that. I was in the hospital with COVID that I caught at work. No one called to say, how you doing? How you feeling? No. I got one call that says, oh, are you better yet? When are you coming back? You're not even a number. My daughter called 2 weeks ago. She had a procedure done. She said she woke up from anesthesia. She said the only thing the nurse did was like, What is your level of pain? Here was your discharge orders. There was no humanity. How are you feeling? And she was feeling some kind of way, and I felt bad for her. And the fact that she was there, I wasn't there. She said, I felt like just a number. And I said, sis, I'm sorry to break it to you, but you are a number. They don't see you as human. You are not human. And I don't care what system where you work, you know, it's pervasive. Okay? So the weight of the decision that, yes, I'm looking for healing, but I have to abandon people and my reality, my history, my identity. So now you're going to have to create a new identity. Do you have what it takes to do that? Because that's going to require another set of skills. And another thing I tell the sisters, I said, when you make that final trip, book your Airbnb for 2 or 3 weeks. And the first week, just stay in, hibernate, and sleep. Rejuvenate. Order Uber Eats. Get some water. Stay in the bed and just rest. Because all those hormones crashing down is going to be the best thing you can do for yourself. It's called reset. You know, they come here with their 7, 8, 9 suitcases. And I'm like, why do you need all that? You don't. This is what we wear here. You don't need a whole lot. And if you have 3, you throw it in the washer and you're good. Minimalist living, minimalist packing, minimalist moving. I had like, you know, old album with all the 3 kids. So years ago, I decided to do one album for each kid. I put all their little kindergarten things, you know, with the ice cream cone. What I just put all that with their pictures from birth all the way up. But I gave it to them. I said, this is my gift to you, 1, 1, 3. And they're like, oh, this is so nice. But there was another one that we had with the family pictures, and I gave it to my daughter. I said, I want you to keep that for safekeeping. I didn't bring any of that with me. I brought 2 pictures. One picture of me with my mom, one picture of the kids. I came with 2 suitcases, and I wish I had come with 1. Clothing, things I bought here, I never wear. I gave things away when I was going to South Africa. And now I look in the closet and I'm like, it's time to downsize again. I got too many things here. I don't need all that. Minimalist living is a mindset, and it's a conscious decision. You're leaving the grandkids, you're leaving your friends, you're leaving your kids, you're leaving your church. You're leaving everything that is familiar. And if you don't think, you're like, it's okay, I'm not going to miss it. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I'm in 3.5 years and I'm still missing things. I think I miss things now than when I first got here. When I'm looking for something and I have to go to 3, 4 stores to look for it and I can't find it anywhere, I get a bit irritated. But I know there are things that I'm not going to find. But the feeling, you know, the tree, you're still going to feel. Now, you just learn to manage those feelings, right? How important it is on the scale of your life. Is it really that important? You see, I live alone and I talk to myself all the time. I counsel myself. I make executive decisions. When I'm crying by myself. When I say, Maggie, it's time to snap out of it, I snap out of it by myself. Yes, I'm my self-therapist. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner too, you know that, right? So I can talk to myself. I don't have to pay anybody to tell me anything. I know what I need to do, okay? All right, so understand the magnitude. It's gonna hit you sometime. Sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and the weight of the decisions comes to you. And when I see people on TV and they're up all the time, and I'm like, please, don't tell me that you're always up like that. No one. is up, up, up all the time, unless you're taking some other stuff you're not supposed to. We all do this, and that's normal. What you don't want to do is to stay down in the dump, down, down, down. I was talking to one of my students earlier, and we were commiserating about when life happens, you have to learn some skills so that when the next thing hits you and you can reach into your bag and say, oh, when that happened to me 2 years ago, that's how I dealt with it. That's building resilience. That's what resilience is. It's like, yeah, come at me. I will stay standing. I know how to deal with this. Oh, yes, it hurts. Oh, yes, I cried. Very few times have I spent sleepless nights over something because I own my decisions. I try to be true to myself and treat people right so that when I go to sleep, I'm a late owl. I sleep late. But when I go, it's uninterrupted because I'm not worried about things or people. But once in a while you do, and you have to expect it. It doesn't make you weak. You're a human being with emotions. All right, understand that. Okay? Family. Some of us have issues with family. What you're doing what? Oh my God. My family wasn't as surprised with my decision. They just didn't believe I was going to make it. And I know some of you have the same thing happen to you. "Oh, yeah, 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 yeah." And some of them would say they didn't believe I was leaving until my bags, my suitcases were packed. You really leaving? You really doing it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm doing it. Oh my God. And I talk about also sometimes, my best video was about what did I call it again? Something of moving abroad, the dark side of moving abroad. There is darkness to it. When you leave people, some people are not nice about it. Some will tell you to your face, but most won't. They just give you the cold shoulder. Mm. They don't invite you to the cookout. They don't call you as much. You're being shunned. And some will say, well, she's leaving anyway. We don't need to invite her. Because chastising you for leaving. Are you one of those people who say, oh, well, that's your decision? Or does it hurt you to the point where you really, really, really hurt? And there's nothing wrong with that. We're all different. And we handle our emotions differently. But you have to understand, some will support you, some won't. Some will be verbal about it. Some will give you the silent treatment. How are you going to handle it? Yes. Same thing with friends. You have a bunch of girls, you did things together, now you can't. And I don't care if you say, oh, we got give you the virtual stuff. It's not the same. Do you budget for regular going back and kind of recharging? I remember when I moved from New York to Florida, I was so homesick. Woo. That first winter was brutal. No snow, no cold weather, no fireplace, no boots and stuff. Oh, I was so in the dumps. That move was worse for me than my move to Panama. In terms of culture, they looked at us and they're like, where you all from? I didn't realize I was in the South, but I was. They treated us gawking. What's she doing walking the street? I'm from New York. We walk everywhere. Not in Florida, you don't. They might almost call the cop to say, oh, we see a strange person walking the streets. And that's happened in Florida. You know that. You walk certain neighborhoods, they're going to say, "Nyeh, nyeh, nyeh. What are you doing here? Show your ID. Do you have business here? Freedom of movement you thought you had. Okay. All right. So some friends will do the same for you. So what are the emotions that all right, there is the message. Hello, everyone. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. What are some of the emotions? And I think I kind of alluded. I'm going to open this for comments in a little bit. But hola, Yasmin, Vivian. Yes. We talked about well, I didn't, but we're going to talk about the self-doubt, you know? You say, well, for my mental health, I need to make a move. And sis, I get it. I made my decision to retire while sitting in my car on a highway, deadlock, traffic not moving. And I had been on that highway so many times. And I sat there and I said, you know what? Why am I doing this? I'm done. And it was a moment of reckoning that says, I'm done with this life. And that's how I decided to retire. I was 62. I said, I'm going to go home, do the numbers, and see if I can do it. And that's it. Then I sent my email and it was like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm done. Because I am that decisive in my decision making. And if I make it, I do my due diligence, then I own it. All right. So I didn't have any anxiety with this move. I don't think I had anxiety with that first move. You know, I was young with a family, and then we moved from New York to Florida. We just did not know what we were getting ourselves into, what the environment, because we were young, we didn't do the ABCs of moving abroad. We didn't look at the education system for our kids. And then we found that Florida was on the bottom in terms of education. We didn't know that until we got there. What we were looking at job opportunities as it was the most important thing in our younger mind. That's what we looked at. And at the end, we were like, boy, was that the wrong thing to look at? Yes. From a cultural standpoint, with a family with boys of a darker skin color in Florida, that was an awakening. But I guess we felt we couldn't go back, right? So the anxiety of the decision, should I, shouldn't I? Am I doing it for the right reason? Oh my God, what will they think? Oh, my children will think I've abandoned them, right? Oh, my grandbabies, I won't be able to see them. Oh, I won't be able to go to Trader Joe's and, my favorite stores. Oh, my hairdresser. Oh my God, yes. Details can really pile up and cause this stress and anxiety. Are you the person that says, I think I'll manage? Yeah, I'll go natural so I don't have to worry about hairdresser. That's the thing. Put braids, you could do all kinds of things. Locks, prepare yourself for the eventualities, even though we do have those things here. So the anxiety of the decision can hit you. The guilt. Ah, come on. Now, I don't have grandbabies. I'm one of those people. I'm old, no grandchildren. So that wasn't an issue for me. Loss of familiarity. I wasn't so concerned with that because I'm kind of move with the flow kind of person. But if you're one of those people, every Friday you go to Joe down here and you shoot pool there, and yes, you're going to lose that familiarity. The accessibility and what's the word I'm looking for? That everything that you need is at your fingertips. That is huge. Where you go to another country, you may not find the things that you used to. How are you going to handle that? The guilt of leaving your family, your friends, your church. Yes. What about aging parents? I did a video about aging parents. I know some expats who are in other parts of the world or even here who've left teenagers. Now, I wouldn't do that, but I'm not living their life. I have no right to have an opinion about their decision. That is their decision. But I would imagine that it would be hard. So this person, I look at that sister one time and I said, she must have been in a position where she needed to save herself, to leave your 16, 17-year-old behind. And you know, these kids usually don't want to leave because they have their families and they have their life. So it's tough. I'm sure she struggled with that decision. But she said, I got to save myself. Just like I left South Africa, I said, if I did not leave, I was going to have a stroke. My blood pressure was up. I was anxious. I was hyperventilating. There were spiders in the room when I got up, and I'm critter. I have a phobia of critters. I wasn't sleeping. I had my phone with the light. You know, I would sleep like this, and then I'd wake up and I would scan the walls looking for the spiders. And every time the nurse came, check my blood pressure, it was high. I said, you know what? If I don't live here, they're gonna take me out in a body bag. And I said, I'm leaving. I was decisive. So when it's time to make a decision to save yourself, do it. Do it. The world's not gonna fall out. People will live. You know, like when you die, people screaming, oh my God. And then next month, they're like, you already forgotten, sis. Don't think so highly of yourself. So this life that you have, make your decision and make it count. Save yourself. And you know when you have to do it. Okay? So the guilt. Uh the feeling overwhelmed. I'm like, I can't even read my handwriting. The feeling of being overwhelmed. But you know what? Again, I was talking to this sister this morning. She said, but you know, I'm the kind of person, how do you carve an elephant? One bite at a time. Not everybody's mind is wired that way. Some people feel they have to do everything at once. It's like, no, sis, hold up. Take a step back. Make a list. Tackle the big things first. Break it down in small pieces and be consistent. Don't be all over the place. It's like downsizing. If you say, I'm going to do the bedroom, do the bedroom. Or you're going to do the clothes, the shoes today, give yourself time. That's why, again, if you're in a panic mode and you say, oh my God, I got to get out of here in a month. Well, you're going to do it to yourself, sis. 1 month to get rid of everything that you have and get yourself organized, I couldn't do it. Maybe somebody can do it. I'm saying make the decision, have the list, manage it, make it manageable without killing yourself. And then take specific breaks in between. Break it up. But that makes sense to me. It may not make sense to some people. As I said, some people have just packed their bags and landed here. Bravo. That wouldn't be me. That would not be me. But I'm not criticizing you, sis. To each his own. So you could feel overwhelmed, but you need to be able to manage it. Exhaustion. Oh, did you feel tired? Did you have headaches? Did you have trouble sleeping? Uh-huh. You know, just because you're moving abroad doesn't mean you don't take care of yourself. That's the thing. Some people get it. It's a trap. I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go, but you still have to live to make it over here. And you've heard, you know, all these things on social media. Stress can kill you. Yes, it can. Cortisol, epinephrine. Yes. You have signs and symptoms that make no sense. You know, everything is tight. You just bothered. Yes. If you don't sleep, you stressed out. Oh, you could crash. What if you're a caregiver for aging parents? You're already exhausted, right? Sometimes that's one of the reasons you want to get out. So you get the guilt in there, the overwhelm, the exhaustion, all roll into, wow, what a mess. I did a video also about that. When the aging parents are guilt tripping you into not moving abroad. And I also make the case that this is something you should have handled prior, right? You don't let anyone, whether it's adult children or adult parents, to manage you as a human being. You're grown and you got to set boundaries. Yes, mother, I'm here to assist you, but the money that you have saved, we're going to use it to hire someone to help take care of you. Oh, no, 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 no. I don't want strangers to take care of me. I want you. You're my daughter. I brought you into this world. Hold up. Have the difficult conversation with these old people. I'm telling you, they're going to take you to the grave. And as a nurse, I can tell you a lot of time the caregiver quotes before the patient. If you don't have boundaries, you don't know how to take care of yourself, and it's sucking the life out of you. People like that, I usually cut them off really fast, whether it's a friend, an acquaintance, or family member. You want to suck the life out of me? Hell to the no. I will not allow it. So you have to address those issues prior and say, okay, let's have a meeting. Mom and dad, you're coming up in years. You want to stay in your home? Okay, then we're going to get some help. Oh, no, no, we don't want anybody in our house. Yes, you're going to get some help because I will not be the one to do it. You take all that on and then they're managing you. And you letting them put the guilt on you. No, 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 you have your own life to live. Oh, I'm grateful you brought me into this world. But now I'm not going to allow you to ruin me because it will kill you if you don't take care of that. So when you allow parents to manage you and then you decide to say you're going to leave just cold turkey like that, it's not going to go well. I can tell you that. They're going to guilt trip you and then you can't. Now, I met a sister who's very active in my group. She's taking care of a disabled person. That's different, right? Because coming here to Panama and say you have a disabled person, it's going to be difficult. I hear people I know there's a sister in Mexico who has her mom and she was able to hire full-time help. Yes, I'm not saying it's impossible, but are they willing to move with you? Probably not. Probably not. And that would bring with it a whole host of decision because we have our sister here with her 98-year-old mom. Takes work for her to manage all that. Don't think it's easy. Panama is not this utopia where everything is going to work. Not just Panama, anywhere you go. You're going to work through things to make it work for you. And then you can't hang on to the purse tight. Spend your money. You work hard for it. That's why those of us who are here, who's saying we want to retire here and die here, we're planning to where when something happens, we can hire somebody to come into the home and take care of us. That's what we're banking on. That's what we're building here with SWRA. Okay? So, all right. The list. Don't forget the list. So how do you manage all these emotions? And I think I've kind of talked about it. You have to be a person that is decisive. And once you make your decision, you own the decision. And expect all the things that are going to come at you. The resentment, the cold shoulder, the family who doesn't understand you, the backlash of them kind of not inviting you to the cookout or whatever. And sometimes you might lose some friends. I've heard people say, my sister hasn't spoken to me since I left. I think that's sad. I personally don't feel that there is, well, maybe I should rephrase that because some family members, you're gonna have to cut them off. I understand that. But for me personally, I go above and beyond to make sure that communication and stuff back and forth with my family, yes. And that's why I always say, if something is going on, let's talk about it. Yes, I do not like silent treatment and what's going on. I don't know what it is. What is it? Come out. Lay it out. Let's talk about it. If I need to apologize, I apologize. If you don't apologize, that's your business. But once I release you, I release you. And can we have a conversation? Can we save the relationship? Yeah or nay? I'm good, whichever way it goes. So sometimes you have to cut some people. If they're toxic and they cause you stress and stuff, yeah, I understand that. But be ready for it and not carry it like a burden on your soul. No, it's okay. It's okay. So you got to be ready for it. And like I said, the list, make sure you don't let it overwhelm you. Break it up. Rome wasn't built in one day. And if you get a day, you're like, oh, I'm so exhausted. Take a day off. It's okay. You can reschedule something. Maybe the flight can be delayed. Yes, you're going to be charged $100. So what? Your health is more important than that. Okay? Take some self-care breaks. Like I said, massage, go to the beach, whatever it is that whatever makes you feel good. For me, it's like cooking, going to the beach, a massage. Yes, do it. No one's going to do it for you. Manage your emotions. Understand that they're going to come at you in waves. Waves. Oh, I'm so excited today. And the next day, oh my God, am I really doing this? Can I make it work? Am I really going to Panama? Am I really packing or going to Thailand? Talk to yourself. And you know what, sis? Sometimes you may want to see someone, a therapist. There's nothing wrong with that. Gone are the days where having therapy is considered a dark, stain on your soul. No. If you need to talk to someone and you don't have anyone to talk to, this guy was talking about better help or whatever, just find somebody and say, I need you to help me figure out what's going on. One thing I mentioned to the sister earlier is that if you have some issues in your past that haven't been resolved, whether it's with a parent or something that happened to you, whether it was abuse or you were raised in a violent home and you had there was things like drugs and alcohol and violence in your home. Listen, sis, if you have not dealt with those issues as an adult and you move abroad, they come with you too. So do yourself a favor and get yourself straight before you move abroad, because the stress of being in a new environment might do you in. So make sure you take care of yourself. Go see the therapist. Don't be stingy. This is self-care. Because if you need help developing skills to deal with like a toxic parent or a toxic relationship or whatever it is, take care of that over there. Don't be in a rush to move abroad and not take care of those issues, because they're going to come follow you here and they're going to escalate. This sister was sharing also an experience she had, and I'm sure I'm okay. I think she's going to be okay with me sharing it because I'm not talking about, mentioning her name. She said she went in a store and this person who looked like was an expat was looking like she was ready to have a meltdown. And she was holding a bag of ice that was leaking. And then this friend approached her and said, "What's wrong? Can I help you?" That was the best thing that she had done, right? And the lady's like, "Well, I don't know. I want to get a few things." And then this person, a staff from the store, was talking to her. Of course, no Espanol, so she didn't know what she was saying. And then she's my student. So the salesperson said, "I'm telling her not to walk around with the ice in this weather because it's dripping and then it's become a hazard. People would fall." And then she explained that to the lady. The lady, "Oh, I'm so glad you stopped because I didn't understand." So, and then the lady's saying, "I have my husband in a wheelchair." So she is overwhelmed here with everything that's going on. So something was simple was setting her off. And she might have just boohoo cried and just have a meltdown. But it got nothing to do with the current situation. It was everything else around her that kind of made everything magnified. Do you understand that? So you have to understand and manage your situation so that something simple doesn't tip you over the edge. Okay? Very good. Exhaustion, your emotions. And like I said, you're going to do this with your emotions. You're going to be elated one day and then in the dumps the next day. "Oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm scared." Yes. Own it. Own it. And what I always say to people is like, when you're feeling an emotion, don't try to skip over it and say, "Oh yeah, I'm strong. I don't need." No. Experience the emotion. That's where the healing happens. Oh, I'm feeling sad. The other day, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, I woke up and I'm like, whew, I'm feeling some kind of way today. I acknowledge it. That's the first thing. And then I'm like, what could be making me feeling like that? Well, maybe the bad news that we keep, even though we're not there, but every time you turn your phone on and you see the news and you're like, and the whole weight of the global whatever's going on sometimes gets to you. You're not a tree. You're gonna hear me say that a lot. You're not a tree. And then I said, I think because there's nothing in my personal life that could cause me to feel in the dumps. But you think of, the future, the present, and the current situation, and everything that's happening, and it did a number. But I acknowledge it, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is not good, right? So I said, let me cook something. That's my therapy. And then I was like, let me go to the gym. That's my therapy. Oh, I'll go out there, go for a walk. That's my therapy. So I acknowledge what I was going through. I identify the cause of what could possibly cause me to feel that way. And then I take steps to counteract it. This is what you do. But if you're one of those people who love to have a pity party and you're like, oh, I'm so sad, I'm so depressed. Yeah, you can be depressed for a moment, but you cannot stay depressed too long because that's where the danger happens. You're going to get sucked in that deep hole, and some people don't ever come out. You don't want to do that. So you say, okay, what can I do? Let me go out. Let me call this sister. Let's go to lunch. Do something to counteract. Put some music on, your jazz or whatever you enjoy. Yes. Do something to counteract the emotion that you're feeling so that you can get over it in a decent amount of time. And then next time it happens again, you say, oh, yeah, I recognize that. That's what I did. A, B, C, D. I'm going to do that again. That's your arsenal. You just reached out and you pulled it out. And you say, that worked for me. It's going to work for me now. That's resilience. Because what I tell people is like, once you get over one thing, trust me, there's something else that's right around the corner, ready to hit you upside the head, whether you're ready or not. All right. This sister said to me, she said, nobody talks about the emotions you go through. I'm doing this because of you, sis. She said, I've been hugging my house. You know your house? She said she built it, she decorated it. That's her project, her baby. And then now she's leaving it. Let's talk about grief. You grieve anything that you lose. It's not just a human being or your dog. Anything that was part of you that is leaving you, that has left, you allowed to grieve. And there are 5 stages of grief. I think now up to 7. I don't remember the last 2. But disbelief. I don't believe this is happening to me. Anger. Oh my God, how come? You're angry at God, the world, the system, the political system. You can be angry. You're allowed to be angry, but how long do you stay angry? Then bargaining. Bargaining is, oh, well, maybe if I do this, if I do that, if I compromise here and there. And then there's a depression, I think, one of them, you feel sad about the whole thing. Ultimately to acceptance. Acceptance is like, okay, put your big girl panties on. Let's say, come on, life, I'm ready for you. But you got to go through the stages. And as nurses, we had to learn all these stages of grief because we dealt with death so much. But what we learn is that everybody goes through every stage differently. Some people stay in one stage longer than others. But the goal of grief counseling is to move you from what is it again? When disbelief and anger to acceptance. You have to. And that's when it's healthy. And that's why with hospice, they continue working with the family as they grieve. Because you need to get them over that hump so that they can continue on with life. Because sis, life goes on. You moved to Panama for a new life. You left this life, you're going to build another life. You grieve everything that you're leaving, but you got to get to acceptance. Hey, this is my new life. Let me embrace the new life. We can do another video about um the emotional aspect of being a new expat. I talk about the honeymoon phase. The honeymoon phase sometimes lasts 6 months, sometimes it lasts for years. Some people are on a high for years, and then sometimes they crash. Sometimes they don't, which is a good thing. So you need to be in tune with your emotions, acceptance, understand that you're going to grieve what you've lost. You're not a tree. You're going to feel, you're going to allow yourself to feel. Another analogy I use is the verse in the Bible that says, when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And I sometimes use that with people and I say, you walking through, you're not standing there. You got to walk through it. And that's when you go through the grief process. You talk to yourself, you counteract, you do things to kind of move you through. I will fear no evil. Fear doesn't do anything for you. And we as women, we're resilient, we're strong. Some stronger than others. Nothing bad about that. But know thyself. And if you feel, you say, well, I'm not as strong as you. I get that, sis. But understand the danger of not moving through those emotions to the point where you're like, ta-da, I have a new life, a new lease on life. I know there is a lot going on around me that is not pretty or not good, but I decide up here that I'm going to live and enjoy this life. It's a decision you have to make, sis. No one can make it for you. All right, guys. So I'd like to open it for questions. So you can unmute yourself if you have a question, and maybe if you have a specific situation you want to talk about, it's something you want to share about an experience, about your decision to move abroad, how it's going, and then the other sisters can chime in. Also on Facebook, you can put a question there if you have it. Crickets. Greta, Azel, Emily, Marie. Everybody's quiet. The emotional toll of moving abroad. But I want to tell you that I've been here almost 4 years and I have never had a day where I've regretted my decision to move abroad.
Hi, Maggie.
Hey, who is this?
Hazel.
Hi, Azel. How are you?
Pretty good, thank you.
Good.
So I'll be there in September to kind of do a look around and tour in Panama.
Okay.
Because I'm part of the expat group here in the US, Stephanie
Okay.
and Rashida.
Okay.
So I kind of have a lot of idea of what's what. But I've never heard anybody talk about when you pack up and move and you're there as a single person. I just heard you talk about your community is forming like a co-living thing, a co-health thing. That if something happens to one of you, you guys kind of take care of each other. That's what
Yes,
you're
that's the
doing.
goal. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful, great! You're the first person I heard in the expert team is doing that. So congrats on doing that. Um, but I've never heard anybody talk about too. If you pass away in a country that you're not,
Mm-hmm.
you said we're never really gonna be belonging to that country. If you
Uh-huh.
pass away, what happened? You have to make arrangement to come back to the U.S. What are people doing
Oh, that's a good
if they
question.
passed away?
You mentioned community. I guess I did not talk about that. And a lot of people come here and they hook up with their little group, and we have groups all over the place. And I don't think this is just in Panama. I think wherever you go, you can find community. My story here, when I came here, I didn't know anyone, and I knew I needed community, and that's why I started my group, Single Women
Yes.
Retiring Abroad, right? And slowly our community has grown. And then we meet once a month. And this past week,
Yes.
we had our monthly meetup, and it
Oh.
was about cremation and
Oh.
making preparation as an expat.
Oh.
So the way
Okay.
it works here now, in my group, we have what we call clusters, right? So we stay in touch with each other in smaller groups within the group so that we check in
Mhm.
every day, what's going on, are you in town, you're going out of town or whatever, which is great. But
Yes.
realize that it's not, and it's not taking care of the whole person. That's why the co-living is another way of getting people closer to each other. We have a couple of
Right.
sisters who are here within our group in a co-living situation, and they're sharing their apartment, their house, which works great for them because they feel that if I don't show up, they're gonna knock on each other's door. Are you okay? And
Right.
somebody's there. But for the majority of us who live in an apartment, we by ourselves. I can check into the chat and say, hey, I'm here, everything's good. And then I can walk around and fall on my head and be laid out, in the apartment.
Yes.
And that happens in the States as well. As a nurse, I have several patients who we found, like days later if they live alone.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, that is one of the possibilities of being in your home by yourself, right?
That's
So
true.
here in Panama, we have different scenarios. If you, let's say, pass out, something happens to you in your apartment and they find you days later, and in fact, that has happened to a couple of people here, and I think they were men. They found them in their apartment like 4 or 5 days later. So in my group, I have my cluster group of, I think we have 7 sisters now, and then we have the general chat. So most people will say good morning, everything's good, and in the smaller chat you say, yeah, everything's good, I'm going here and there or whatever. But if they don't see me in the chat, somebody might say, oh, can somebody go check on Maggie, maybe towards the end of the day, right?
Right.
And by
Yeah.
that time, I could be dead here.
Oh,
And this
yeah.
is something that personally I have wrapped my head around, and I'm okay with that. In fact, I tell them jokingly, I said, don't rush to come check. Take your time.
It's funny.
They're
Oh,
like,
my
oh,
God.
we're gonna come check on you. I said, don't walk too fast. Just take your time to come.
Right.
Because my personal, that's me. I don't, think anybody should think like that. But I was like, I don't want anybody pumping on me. You know what I'm saying? If it
Yes.
just happens, let it happen. But the thing is, you could have fallen and broken something and you're in pain. So this is why
Yeah.
a lot of us worry about being in pain. And there are no alert buttons here in Panama, as far as I know. I'm thinking, maybe talking to
Mhm.
one of these phone companies and say, there's so many of us here, you need to start thinking about monitoring things for people who live alone. But we don't have that yet.
Mhm.
So if somebody finds you, let's say I haven't responded in my group, and then they come and check on me, right? And we have emergency contact for every one of us, local and in the States. So I asked the security people in my building, and I'm like, what happens if something happens to me in the apartment? They say, oh, we call 911. So if I die in my apartment, one of my sisters comes and checks on me and finds me laying in the bathroom or somewhere, she would call my doctor. The doctor is going to come and make a determination that I have passed, right? And he
Mhm.
has to sign a death certificate. It's called the medical death certificate. A lot of
Mhm.
us right now have plans with a funeral home for cremation or burial, and they have different
Okay.
packages. Once the doctor signs the death certificate, the next person to call is the funeral place. They come, excuse me, with the death certificate, they'll take my body and put it in their funeral home.
Okay.
in their morgue, right? Then they have to go to tribunal, which is like the place that will issue the national death certificate. Two different ones, the medical and the national. Once they have the official, I think official, then they can perform the cremation or the burial. All right.
Oh,
And
so you
during,
buried there? This,
I'm
you
sorry,
would buried there? You want to be buried there in Panama?
I do, but you don't have to.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
want to be buried. Most of us want to be cremated.
Okay.
All right.
I do too.
Right. So once they get that official death certificate, and they take care of that because that's what you're paying them for. So they do the cremation and they can put you in a, a regular urn. Your family member, my daughter could come and take it if she wants to take it back with her. They would tell her how to do that. With me, I'm like, I
Okay.
don't really care where you put me under a tree or something like that. That's fine. The ashes, I don't
Yes.
mind. But some people want their ashes spread over the ocean or whatever. And the funeral home know all the regulations. So don't go around this water that I'm looking at. We don't just spray, we don't just throw our ashes in there. You may have to go deep in the ocean and they give you all the regulations
Yes.
because that's their specialty. They'll tell you what's allowed and what's not.
Yes.
And you're going to get that death certificate if you want to translate it into English. They can notarize it and get that done just in case you have life insurance and for property and stuff like that in the States that you're going to need it. If you're going to be buried, they have a procedure for that. Once they get the two death certificate, they can bury you. But then you're going to have to buy a plot. And I think they have like, what do they call those things? Where they put the coffin inside like a, what do you call that?
Like a wall?
A vault, right? But
Okay.
we have two companies that we work with. One of them, the vault come like double. So if you put in one side, you can share the cost with somebody else, and then they're gonna put you,
Ah,
on the other side, right? If you want either your ashes or your body to be returned to the state, it's a whole different procedure they're going to guide you through, but that would cost you
okay.
more because for them to
Okay.
take your body on a plane, the plane is going to have their own rules in terms of size and kind of what do they call that? Coffins and stuff like that. So you contract with a funeral business and they walk you through what you want based, what you're gonna pay based on your needs. A basic cremation is gonna run you about $1,000, $1,100. If
A
you want to
thousand?
bury, yeah, $1,000 to $1,100 for a simple cremation. If you want to be buried, it might cost you a little bit more. If you want to buy one of those vaults, that's additional. And definitely, if you want your body to be sent back, it's going to be thousands. All right.
Okay.
So that's that. And then if you die in the hospital, it's probably the same procedure, except it might take a little longer to get your death certificate. But the funeral place, all right, can somebody turn off whatever is making that echo, like a TV or something like that?
Maybe it's me. I'm walking somewhere quiet. Okay.
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 So that's the way it works here. You need a medical death certificate and an official death certificate. So it is recommended that you contract with a funeral home. One question was asked, what about if you don't have a plan and then you die, right? You didn't
Yes. They didn't
contract
get
with
to
them.
all that yet. Yes.
Right. So let's say they find this person and there's nothing planned. Most of us, what is recommended is that we have an emergency form, just like we do in the States, where we put all our information, our name, our cedula, which is our ID number, our local
Mhm.
doctor, right? Our local next of kin, our next of kin in the States, my daughter in this case. Any major medical conditions. Let's say you're diabetic. It's something to know if they found you. You could just have low blood sugar, right? Um,
Yeah.
if you have like a seizure disorder, like epilepsy and stuff like that, any allergies, we want you to put all that and you put it, mine is on my fridge. Some people puts it on the door going. And then we do like little badges that we attach to our purse as we walk around in case
Okay.
they find
Yes.
you in the street and you're not a John Doe or Jane Doe,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That
So
makes sense. Yeah.
you gotta think proactively with those things when you not just when you're older, even if you're young, for
That
immediate
is true.
procedures.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Because here you walk around with your ID and everybody know you, but uh, nobody address when you're not, in your own country
Mm-hmm.
and
And
things
that's
can
why you have to
happen.
ask, like I
Yeah,
said, for cremation, they have specific rules as to, where you can spread the ashes. Don't think that because you have the ashes, you can go anywhere and start spreading it. You might get arrested, right? But
that's true.
if you don't have a plan and they find you, then if the police is called, they're gonna say, okay, we're gonna call your next of kin, then you need to call a funeral place. Then,
Mm.
you're dealing with them directly for payment and everything else. So the ones that we have now, some people pay ahead, some of us are doing payment plans. So it's doable, but it's something that you need to do, you know, in the eventuality
One,
that something happens to you.
yes, yes.
Yep.
All right, next question. Will you be attending the International Expat there in September?
Is it going to be here
On
in
the,
Panama?
well, I'm hoping every city will have one. I,
International
I
expat. I'm not aware of that.
International Expat Day. Yeah.
International
No,
living?
Exodus. Sorry, Exodus
Oh,
is
Exodus.
Stephanie
Okay.
Group. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
it going to be here in Panama?
Well, I'm hoping there's one there because I'm gonna be there that day and hoping to meet you, meet your community, meet some people.
I think they've had some
Yeah.
meetups, but I don't know if it's like international or anything like that. I think
Yeah, it's
I see that Stephanie Perry is going to be doing something with Charlotte. So that's going to
for,
draw quite a few expats.
for September.
I don't know what the month is. I don't remember. Hi, Jewel.
So
Yes.
September is international meetup for the Exodus
Okay.
communities and groups. So I'm gonna be in Panama. So I was trying to feel out if you know of anybody
Oh, I didn't
planning
know
one or
that.
whatever.
Okay.
Okay, so all right. Still some time off. I thank you
Oh,
and
you're
keep
quite
on doing what you're
welcome.
doing.
All
All right,
right.
thank you, Maggie. All right, bye.
All right. Thanks. Anyone else?
Uh,
I
yep,
want
I'm
to say
coming.
thank you for taking the time to have
Marie?
this meeting. Hello?
Hola, Marie.
Yes, thank you for taking the time for providing the information about the emotions. I mean, I really appreciate all the insights
Yeah,
and,
get ready for it.
yes, because I do have anxiety,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
to a new place, going there alone.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about like the co-living, trying to see,
Yes, I did a similar thing for co-living. I need to follow up. I was going to tell them there are some assessments you can use for compatibility because the two ladies we have in co-living, they were friends prior, right?
okay.
Which makes it easier than trying to find a stranger pretty much and come together. So I would say, people, when you come to Panama, just come on your own, be on your own, and then start meeting people and see if you can find your person. But don't expect to just come in a co-living situation unless you already have your person, right?
Yes, that definitely
Yeah,
makes
I think
sense.
that would make more sense.
Oh, yes, definitely. I understand you do have another channel for like deal with co-living or something.
Yeah, I
A few
just
minutes.
started the new channel for co-living. And what I told the ladies, it's just one of those places for people to gather and ask questions and to say, oh yeah, I live over here, I like this, I like that. And then you kind of find each other, right? This is just kind of a meetup kind of thing to discover if you can find someone you might be compatible with, and then start conversing with them off the site, right? Because this is public, and then you guys can start talking and see if you know it's a match, and that's when the assessment would come handy.
Okay.
You don't want to co-live with someone like me. I like to work on the computer a lot. I wouldn't want to live with someone who always has noise, loud music going, or somebody who's a chatterbox all the time. That wouldn't work for me. But you have to
Yeah.
know yourself and find someone who is compatible. I interviewed a couple of sisters here. I think I have the video. I'll link it, where they talk about what makes it work for them. You know, the sense of boundaries, knowing each other, respecting people's spaces, and all that good stuff. But it
Yes.
works for them.
Yeah, sorry. The personality has to be compatible as well. Like you
Yes,
say,
definitely.
yes, it has to be
Yep.
compatible. Yes, it's good to meet, several
Mhm.
sisters, like meet with them, talk with them,
Mhm.
and it goes both ways. I mean,
Yeah.
how we feel about each other, our beliefs, our system,
Mhm.
how we go. So
Well,
I was
in
thinking,
fact, at the last meeting, one of the things that one sister suggested for us is to have a buddy system. You know, when somebody just gets into town, so they match with someone that kind of shows them the rope, how things are done, and stuff like that. And that definitely would reduce somebody with anxiety, right? It would help lower your anxiety that somebody, if you had a question, you can ask someone who's been here and say, oh, yeah, you go here, you go there, right? Instead of trying to figure it out on your own.
I was actually thinking about that. I was going to mention that, like someone who lives there already,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's not, let's say I am coming in.
Yes.
It's not that I'm going to be a burden, but at
Uh-huh.
least I know I have someone that I can talk to or call if I have an issue.
Yes.
The individual is not going to be like taking me all over or do things. It's just like I have a question,
Uh-huh.
I'm stuck on
And
something.
that's exactly what the sister suggested. She's kind of knew
That's what
that it would be helpful if I had someone like that. So we're looking at that.
Oh, that is a great idea. Maybe, the
One more
sisters
thing
may
to add to my plate, sis.
excuse me.
I said one more thing for Maggie to do.
She was thinking about it, and I was thinking about it. I said yes because
I
they
know.
can make it like a project. It's like
Yes, yes, yes,
yes,
yes.
we can talk.
And there are sisters willing to help me with that. So yeah.
Yes,
Hmm.
that is a great like system or program just to help those that are just
Alleviate some of the anxiety. I hear you.
yes. Okay,
I
that
hear
sounds
you.
that's
It's scary. No, no. I
because
understand.
that's my thing. What is the channel for the co-living thing? How do I
The
join? Is it
co-living hub. I think that's what I call it.
co-living hub from
Mhm.
SWRA?
Yep.
Is it okay? Co-living hub. Okay, thank you. All right.
Okay. All right. Any other question? This is your time to ask. If you're not talking, just mute yourself, por favor. Yeah, I'm hearing the feedback. I don't know. All right, next question. I know, Greta. No, it's good now. I don't hear it anymore. Any other questions? Do, 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 do. All right, that's it, guys. You got all your questions answered, huh? Hola, Greta. Greta, are you sure your sound is on? I see you unmuted, but I don't hear you. Or ask to unmute. Greta? Okay, I don't hear her. Anyone else has a question? And those of you on Facebook, Sahara Sa, Vivian, Yasmin, Tiffany, Jules, any other questions?
I have a question, but it has nothing to do with what you're talking about. I'm
Uh-huh,
looking for a reference. You're in Panama City, right? In the
I
city itself?
am. Yes.
Do you have a driver? I would love to have somebody to drive me around when I get there. I'm 4 months
Yeah.
out, but I'm trying to
Uh-huh.
make. Could you make reference, please, for somebody who could drive me around? I want to go to Cologne. I want to go to Black Christchurch. I want to go
Sure.
all over.
Okay, I'm gonna put my WhatsApp in here. You just send me a WhatsApp and I'll send it to you, okay?
Yes, will do. Thank you.
All right, absolutely.
All right, bye bye.
And you know, everybody here has a driver because sometimes you take a Uber and they become your driver. And a lot of Uber drivers are have doing a lot of business with expats, taking them around, showing them different neighborhoods. Um, yep, it's good business here for them. All right, I'm dropping my WhatsApp in there. Send me a message and I'll send it to you. I'll put it in the chat. Hola, Greta. I still don't hear you. Oh, I don't hear you, Greta. I can hear you, but you can't hear me. No, I can't hear you. Sorry. I know you always have, you can type a question if you want. I don't know if you can voice type in here. Or maybe you might want to say, talk about this, talk about that, something simple. But today was about the emotions, the anxiety, the sadness, sometimes depression. And another thing to know also, like I said, if you have unresolved issues, you may want to see a therapist so you can maneuver and get yourself ready to relocate. But also understand that if you are taking your medications for whatever the issue might be, whether it's psych related or not, continue. Don't throw away your bottles, okay? Because you might need that to kind of tie you over when you first get here. And of course, for anxiety, a walk, a warm bath, and nice music, good eating, that's good for your brain. Sleep, very important. Exercise is great for anxiety. So, when we used to see people in the clinic or whatever with anxiety, we don't just the very first time just give them a prescription. No, you kind of get the backstory as to what could be causing the anxiety, and then you try to get them to do things to counteract that and engage in activities that's going to counteract that. One of the main things that I used to tell people all the time is that go volunteer somewhere and find somebody who is worse off than you. That will take the edge and the focus off of you, right? Because so many people need help. And once you involve yourself in somebody else's life, then again, you take the focus off of you, and that usually works. Sports, all these things are super important. Yep. Good eating, bad for hips. Oh, bad eating is bad for everything. Yes. Stop eating the junk. Cook at home. I'm biased in that area. People say, have you been to that restaurant? No, I don't eat out. I do not eat out. People carry it around town like it's a badge of honor. Oh, we going here, going there. It's like, well, enjoy. And I tell people, you go to a restaurant, you put in your life in somebody's hand. You don't know how that food is prepared in the back. If they follow proper procedure, hand washing, contamination, that's how you get sick, by eating out too much. Eat at home. Cook your food. Ugh. That's a pet peeve of mine. So I don't know. I go to restaurant very, very seldom. And of course, when I go there, many times I'm disappointed. It's like, you don't want to serve me bad food because I'm going to tell you it's bad. My daughter would take me out and she's like, Mom, don't embarrass me. And I said, I'll make no promise. If the food is bad, I'm going to tell him it's bad. And I got sick one time, deathly ill. We were in New York City on Broadway, and I went to a Chinese restaurant. They served me some bad chicken. I almost died. That Salmonella E. coli will kill you, okay? So quit eating out. And all these little funders, yeah, we love to eat out once in a while. Don't make it a habit. Because I can tell you they're not using olive oil, they're using all these additives and little powders, cubes, and everything in their food. That's a no bueno for you. That is not healthy. If you can pronounce something, you don't need to be eating it, putting it in your body. All right, any other questions? What else could cause your anxiety? I was talking, we all need to get used to drinking coconut water, a lot of talk. Yeah, fresh coconut is always healthy for you. Sometime also knowing how to schedule, with your plan. Because the sister I was talking to, she was stressing over bringing her pets here. And I said, what about your visa? Have you started that? She had not. So she was worried about bringing her pets, but she didn't even figure out how you're going to stay in the country legally. That's number one, because they may not let you in if you don't meet the criteria. And another group here is talking about that the pensionato visa requirement is going to change. I don't have any knowledge of that. So, that's why I stay in my lane. I talk about my older ladies coming to Panama. I don't pretend to know all the ins and outs, all the politics and what's going on. I watch the news every day. I trust the source of the news. I watch TVM, the main station, and I watch certain things on Instagram. So I'm in the know. But I'm not going to tell anybody that I know that they're going to increase the $1,000 pensionato visa. I have no knowledge of that. And a lot of that is just people are just making assumptions, and I don't get involved in that. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in everything. Some people are an experts in everything that's happening in the expat world. No, I don't. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know. Maybe I'll try to find out for you if it's that important to you, but I don't know. And they have the lawyers here for a reason. And the lawyers are doing, what do they call, newsletters. I know a lawyer who does that. They're going to send you information if you're on their email list. There is this lawyer who was my lawyer. She has like a live, I don't want to say it's every week or once a month, but she talks about the visa and everything. You want to be plugged in. So when somebody asks me a question, I'm like, that's a question for your attorney. You ask them. I'm not trusting myself to give you advice on rental agreement and all that. Talk to your attorney. That's why I say, when you get that lease, have the attorney look at it and let her tell you exactly what your responsibilities are. I had a lady tell to me, oh, I speak Spanish, or they translate it to English. You're in a different country, sis. You don't know the laws. In fact, I read a newsletter from a lawyer group because one issue people were having here is their rental deposits were being held when they left. The owners would say, oh, we're not giving you a deposit because this and this and that. And then the attorney said they don't have the right legally to hold your deposit unless they have a documented reason. And he gave us a copy of lay, meaning the law, whatever the number is, that stipulates exactly. Because if you give any landlord a 30-day notice of you wanting to terminate the contract before your 12-month lease, by law, you're allowed to get your deposit. Now, if you trash your apartment and you break things, yeah. But people are crooked here too. So you cannot assume that everybody's going to follow the law. And especially if they know you are a foreigner, you don't speak the language. That's why don't cringe on the attorney saying, I'll review that lease for you for this much. To me, that's money well spent. And when they have a question that's legal in nature, I say, I'm not a lawyer. I cannot tell you. I don't have any information on that. Ask your attorney. Your attorney here, wherever you go, is a good source of information for you. You don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Yes. Oh, water shortages. Yeah. I kind of sort of saw about these data centers. I haven't really done a deep dive. I really don't know what's going on with those, but anyway, there's a lot going on in all around us, and that's another thing. You can get yourself so overwhelmed. Keep your nose to the ground and just do what you need to do. Pace yourself, enjoy the moment, experience the emotion. Don't, throw them under the rug or pretend that everything is okay. It's gonna catch up with you. Don't do that. The way you grow is to experience whatever the emotion is and then get out of it stronger and smelling like a rose. All right, you guys, if nobody else has any questions, I'm going to sign off. Is that okay? Marie, Azel, Greta, you guys are okay?
Yes, I am. Thanks again for your
Okay,
time.
my pleasure. All right, Greta. Azel, you good? I sent you the WhatsApp.
Yes, I got it. Thank you very much. I'll send you my number in a minute.
All righty,
All
wonderful.
right. Have a good evening. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Okay, you too.
Okay.
Well, we're
Bye.
going to sign off, and I hope you found the information helpful because no man is an island. And when you come to a new country, you have to be focused on creating community. Don't be a loner. You need to go out there, go to some events, and just stretch out your hand. And hey, I'm Maggie. I just got here. I'm just looking to get to know folks, right? And of course, you want to take your time to really develop true friendships. It takes time to build friendships. And yes, you have to go out to some event. I am not an event person. You don't see me out there, here and there. You don't see me in all the pictures out there. I do SWRA, and then I go to some things. And I know there are some things that I like. I'm not a rooftop bars and live music and shows. That doesn't do anything for me. But I'll go to like a classical concert because I like that, right? I'm not into comedy. So I'm kind of boring, but I know that about myself and I like my own company. So I don't feel the urge to be out there and be seen. Oh my God, this is something. Some people love to be seen. You see them in every picture out there. And I'm like, oh, there she is, there she is, there she is. I'm like, and some people are extroverts. They love the energy. They need people to feel, and I don't, right? We are introverts and we kind of hibernate. We like to be with ourselves so we can recharge. That's me. I go out when I need to, but like long-winded. I went out with his sister. She said, I'm the last one to leave. And I'm like, I'm the first to leave. So we are different, right? God made us all different, and it makes the world go around. So know yourself, no apologies. But when you're new in a country, you need to reach out. So you got to push yourself to go out there, meet people, shake hands, take numbers, exchange numbers. Yes, because you want to have some people around in case something happens to you so you can ask a question. So we'll be working on our buddy system and just make sure the sisters, when they come, they have someone that they can ask questions of. And in our chats, we do that. When they come, somebody would say, how about this? Does anybody have this and that? And they have other chat groups like that. And I'll tell you this about this community here in Panama, and I'm sure everywhere else. If you have a question, you post it in a chat room, in a Facebook group, you're going to have multiple answers. I'm looking for a cardiologist. Somebody's going to give it to you. Has anybody heard of this? Does anybody have a referral for this? Somebody is going to. Yes, and you got to do your due diligence, but you're going to get multiple answers. People are very generous about sharing information here. That's one good thing. All right. So you're not going to be by yourself. Now you're going to have to manage your time and not be going here and there and spending your money. Be careful because it adds up, right? Okay. All right. So manage your emotions, expect it, and then do what you can to get over the hump so you can continue living your best life. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I think I forgot to say, please like, share, and subscribe because this kind of looks different, my screen. Usually it's just me. Now I have like multiple. But anyway, thank you for watching, you guys, on Facebook. And I hope that, probably most of you here are here. I don't know about Yasmin, but I know Tiffany is having the best time. Jules, yeah, my Jules is in Florida, so she's also living her best life. So beautiful. Vivian, yes, Sahara. I think Sahara is here too. All right, ladies, thank you for watching. I will see you sometime around on Facebook, YouTube. You know how I go. All right. Au revoir. Good night. God bless.